Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We haven't heard much from Ash Regan ever since she jumped ship and joined Alba. However, she has put her head above the parapet and made a claim about the Greens. She's saying that the Green Party are basically scuppering the attempts by the SNP to criminalise those who purchase sexual favours. Now, you have to ask why. Now, I understand how you're not punishing and criminalising those who generally tend to be vulnerable, the ones who are selling their favours, as it were, but you are punishing and criminalising those who offer to pay. And I understand that. Now, the Greens are trying to scupper this, as I say. They're trying to blow this out the water. They don't want to have this there. And you have to ask why. But then you only have to look at the likes of the Greens. You only have to look at Maggot Chapman. You only have to look at the Deviant Imp. You only have to look at Gross Rhea to realise that no one would find them attractive in any way. And if they weren't paying for it, they wouldn't get any, it seems. And so there's no wonder they want to keep it legal, because otherwise they wouldn't have a good time at all, would they? Let's take a look at this to see who's doing what to whom and why Ash Regan is actually standing up, I think, for the side of decency, to be fair to her. Here goes. So, Scottish Greens blocked SNP attempt to criminalise those who pay for sex in Scotland, claims Ash Regan. I wouldn't, like I say, put it past them. It strikes me as exactly the sort of thing they would do. The Alba Party MSP hit out at the SNP's partnership with the Scottish Greens, as she claimed it hampered her attempts to reform prostitution laws in Scotland. Now, at no point, I think, are they making the sellers of this particular commodity illegal. It's been around for a long time, and generally they tend to be victims. And it's not a great life, let's be fair. It's very risky, very high risk life, but for some it's the only way they can make ends meet. No pun intended. But criminalising curb crawling, fine. Criminalising various aspects of it, fine. It just means that you need to be much more creative in bringing people to your door, as it were. Anyway, the Scottish Greens hampered attempts by the SNP to criminalise those who pay for sex in Scotland, claimed Ash Regan. The former Scottish Government Community Safety Minister insisted that the influence of Patrick Harvie and Lorna Slater on policy stopped her bringing in reforms that she promised. Now, I can understand Patrick Harvie not wanting this law. How else is he going to have his little jolly fun time? Nobody, I mean, I know he's gay, but I mean, gay men have taste, you know. I know several gay men, and they wouldn't look at Patrick Harvie and think, oh yeah, do that one, love. Not a chance in hell. They go, ooh. Anyway, she defected to the Alba Party last October after rowing with her ex-party over gender reforms. And she now has said that the Greens' impact meant she could not change the law on the sex trade while in office. Despite the 2021 programme for government pledging to challenge the male demand for prostitution, I will also point out that women have been known to pay for it themselves. It's not much, but it is a thing. But it will be men predominantly paying for it, and they'll be paying usually women, occasionally men. And that's how it is. Well, it's certainly how it is when your name is Harvey the Deviant. How else are you going to have your jolly fun times? If you haven't got a few notes in your pocket, not much is going to happen, is it? Anyway, there was a clash between this vow and the Scottish Green, who pledged to fight for the decriminalisation of sex work. Yes, because they want to normalise this. They want this kind of thing to be normalised. It's all part of their plan to sexualise children. If they can normalise that, it's all salami slicing down. Unfortunately, the wrong salamis, I think, are being sliced. They argued that doing so would ensure workers were protected from exploitation, traffic and violence. It won't. Just because the job's legal, it actually makes it harder to protect the women. But then this is the Greens. It's got nothing to do with the protection of women. It's got everything to do with pushing a sexual agenda. We know that they're all deviants. We know they're all weird. They're all pervs, peds and predators, aren't they? In an interview with Holyrood magazine, Miss Regan said she saw her proposals on restricting the sale of fireworks progress to law while the prostitution remains the same, despite being introduced at the same time. Different types of bangers, I suppose. Miss Regan told the magazine she found resistance to reforming the purchase of sex laws, despite the Scottish Government's stance that it was a form of violence against women. She said, I began to think that, especially after 2021, which was when the Butte House Agreement was signed. Yeah, she's actually out there, and to be fair to her, I think she is trying to protect women, genuinely. But the Greens don't do that. That's not what the Greens want. That's not their agenda. They don't want to protect anyone, and especially not very young and vulnerable people. She said, I managed to get the prostitution reform onto the slate, and I had at one point as early as year 3, but then it kept slipping, and I would look again, and it would be on year 4 or year 5. I began to think it was not going to be able to progress because this was not something that the Green Party would sign up to. Miss Regan is now set to bring the plans back to Holyrood as part of a members' bill. Her Unbuyable campaign aims to criminalise those who purchase sex in Scotland, and it comes as she told the magazine not seeing the proposals become law was a source of professional regret. Now, I don't think she's particularly good. She's not bright. She's not a party leader material. But I do think that she is a moral person. I think from things she's done and said before in the past, she's a moral person. She takes a stance, and I will give her that. I will tip hat to that. There's very few with actual morals, and it's nice to see that she has. But there's a picture of two that absolutely do not have any. They are absolute, well, buffoons is one word, but they are immoral, unethical, dangerous, I would say. Especially him on the left, but she's just complicit. But then you've got the likes of Maggot Chapman, who I still classify as an absolute and immediate danger to children. Anyway, she said if you look at detail at what the SNP Green coalition government has pursued, it's the areas where there is more political alignment. She said fireworks bill became law and the prostitution didn't get to that point. She said, which is a source of professional regret. The Scottish Government said its recent strategy will help inform future legislative considerations. That's their way of kicking it into the long grass, of saying maybe in the future when we don't have the Greens and we're not bending the knee to the Greens and we're not kissing Harvey's ring, which apparently he's all up for. The strategy will challenge the male demand for prostitution by helping women safely exit commercial exploitation. Not while the Greens are in government, it won't. A pilot scheme has been announced to facilitate this and allow sex workers to link up with more mainstream services such as housing, health and social security. Work will start in the summer, with the scheme to be first rolled out in Edinburgh and Borders areas, before being expanded into the Highlands, Perth and Kinross, Aberdeen and Dundee, and then Glasgow and Ayrshire. I'd have thought you'd have started in Glasgow. It seemed to be very popular there amongst certain members of the community. The spokesperson said lessons learned from the strategy will help inform any future legislation considerations, which, as I say, is their way of saying not yet because the Greens won't allow it. Oh well, coming up. I think it is actually anti-democratic to allow a party that got so few votes as the Greens to end up with so much power. Power that they command the government. They are a tiny, tiny minority part with very few votes, and yet it seems to be them that are the absolute hand on the tiller of this parliament. A leader with balls, which automatically, of course, rules out Hamza Yousaf. A leader with balls would say, look, this is what's going to happen. You vote for it or we break the coalition. You go back to the backbenches and you lose your nice big fat paycheck. That's what a leader with balls would do. But old Kendall, not going to happen. It's all smooth down the front, isn't it, Hamza? That's why you are a very ineffective and weak leader. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. I will speak to you later. Bye.